Family and friends, I appreciate that you've come to the sanctuary at Beth Israel to lift up the beautiful and special, joyful, sweet memories of Kenny Goldstein. And though we all have our respective houses of worship, this one, like any other, is a place in which we find in God's presence our hope and our longing, and in which we express our gratitude for all that we've been given, though much has been taken away. And so as we share this time together, we will share the words that we need to hear, the memories that continue to inspire us to talk about dear Kenny, those that cause us to shed the tears of sorrow, but also the tears of joy, because he made us laugh so often. So as we prepare ourselves for the time that we'll share now, let me ask you please to be sure that your cell phones are in a silent position. And as you take care of that, I'd like to invite Cantor Bush to begin for us with a song, a psalm of consolation.
O God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
Psalm 90 teaches, O God, you have been our refuge in every generation. Before the mountains came into being, before you brought forth the earth and the world, from eternity to eternity, you are God. You return us to dust. You decree, return, you mortals. For in your sight 1,000 years are as yesterday when it has passed, as a watch in the night. You engulf us in sleep. We are like grass that renews itself. At daybreak it flourishes anew. At dusk it withers and dries up. The span of our life is 80 years and 10, or given strength 80 years. But the best of those years have trouble and sorrow. They pass by speedily, and we are in darkness. Teach us, therefore, so to number our days that we may attain a heart of wisdom. Turn to us, O God. Show mercy to your servants. Satisfy us at daybreak with your steadfast love, that we may sing for joy all our days. Let your deeds be seen by your servants, your glory by their children. May your favor, O God, be upon us. Establish the work of our hands, that it may long endure. On the back of our program guide, we find the 23rd Psalm. We join together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. There's a beautiful reading often we share at the beginning of our year. It tells us of our journey and stages through life. It teaches birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing, from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting.
Earlier today, the family joined me and Rabbi Scott at the graveside to fulfill the mitzvah, the commandment to accompany our loved one to his final resting place on earth. There we began to find the closure that we seek, but it isn't complete, not for some time for sure, but not without also recalling the precious memories that are dear to us. And so this is our time during our hour of memorial to recall those memories with personal words and remembrances. First, I'd like to call on his children, Jason and Joni, to speak.
I don't have it in me today to deliver a lengthy eulogy for my father. My dad deserves far more words than I can give to him at the moment, but I do know he would understand why I cannot muster the strength to share more than these brief thoughts with you. Someday, I would love to exchange many more of my memories and favorite stories of my father, and certainly the ones you may have of him. But today, I can provide you just a few of them. It is too painful to go on for very long up here. The memories I have of my dad and the lessons I learned from him are ones I will treasure for the rest of my days. I vividly remember being a young boy in the early 1980s and making deliveries on Fridays and Saturdays with him in his brown pickup truck to Houston originals like Brennan's, Cleburne Cafeteria, D'Amico's, Tony's, Nino's, and of course, Good Company barbecue and hamburgers. We ate like kings at every stop. My father's passion for the food service business ultimately inspired me to work by his side during my teenage years and several years after college. It was a privilege and a blessing to have spent all of that time with him. When I finally decided to become a teacher and pursue something in my life that I was equally passionate about, he supported me every step of the way. I will remain forever grateful for all of the sacrifices he made to help me become the man I am today. I am grateful as well to all of you who are present today to honor his memory. My father was blessed to have so many people who loved him. From his business associates to his friends, he treated every person he knew like family. I hope you will never forget him, nor the many laughs, headaches, and encouraging words he may have shared with you. I also want to extend special thank yous to the Bench family and the entire family at Jake's Finer Foods, who loved and supported my father with all of their hearts. And I thank his remarkable caretakers, Carlette and Roe, who looked after my father during his final months. You provided him such comfort and made our family feel safe when we needed it. I can say definitively that I know of no other man who dedicated himself more fully and more lovingly to his business and, most importantly, to his family. He was a generous man in every sense, and during his entirely too limited time on this earth, he gave of himself freely and unconditionally. I can hear him now asking for one more line item on an order with his infinite list of reminders, or his saying, "Thank you for your business and your friendship." His words were earnest and true. I can hear him now bragging on me or my sister, telling corny jokes to my niece or nephew, or changing the lyrics of some R&B song from Baby to Gailey, a pet name he had for my mother. And the loving bond between my mother and him was something beautiful to witness as an adult. My mother has been with my father every step of the way, and during the past 10 months, she spent every single night in the hospital with him and sacrificed everything for his care and well-being. Her love for him knew no limits, and she sustained my dad's fighting spirit by never giving up. My father nurtured every dream I ever had. He was my sounding board for every struggle and doubt I experienced, and he was so very proud of me and anybody, no matter what. He instilled in me a tireless work ethic and a love for humor and levity, even in the most challenging of times. Regardless of where I lived or how busy he was, or lately how sick he has been, we spoke every day, and I will miss those conversations more than anything. I feel so lost without him. No individual who walks this earth is perfect, nor was my father, but his heart was always in the right place. That I can say with certitude. I pray that he can rest easy now. I pray for strength for my family, And most of all, I love you, Dad, and I will miss you every day.
If ever there was a daughter blessed with having the best dad, I'd say that person was me. My dad, also known as Bunky, loved with his whole heart. He loved my mom, my brother, me, his grandchildren, our entire extended family, his coworkers, and his customers with all of his being. I can say with confidence that nobody adored their family and their work more than my dad. Anyone who knows my dad knows that he was always late. While at times it frustrated all of us, it was just another endearing quality about him, and he certainly earned the title of his personalized license plate, way late. When my dad got sick, I helped him by picking up some orders and delivering to his customers, dropping off invoices and other things here and there. Although I'd wished he was well and could be doing it himself, it allowed me to see a tiny snippet of what he poured so much of his heart and soul into, his work. I could feel how much his customers adored him, and I heard it on the phone as I was by his side, day in and day out. I've never heard so many grown men tell another man how much they love him, but they did, and so did my dad. He treated everyone with so much love and kindness. The amount of calls I heard him on, all of which he considered his friends, from delivery drivers to chefs to his coworkers offering prayers, wanting to cook for him, do absolutely anything they could to help him, was incredible. He was a true friend to everyone who knew him, and he cared deeply for others. He worked until he could literally work no more, up in the hospital bed taking orders as doctors and nurses came in and out all day. He loved his job more than anyone I've ever met. It defined him and it shaped him. My dad made everyone feel special and like they were his number one priority. He was always excited to hear my voice or see my face every single day, and I felt that to my core. He was deeply emotional and often teary at both big and small moments. The proudest son, husband, father, grandfather, brother, and uncle. Before my dad got sick, every time he came over to our house, which was often, he always told me I looked pretty, always said my meals were the best, and took time, even after a really long day, which was his norm, to listen to what everyone had to say. He played basketball with Andrew almost every time he was at our house, even when I knew he was exhausted. My mom and dad would drop everything for a Saturday night with the kids. Nothing was ever more important than family, except for a quick stop to make a delivery on the way over. They'd also drop everything for a Saturday night with Cooper, our dog, even when the kids weren't home. He cared for and loved my mom beyond measure. I'll never forget when he was trying on clothes at their house to wear for Morgan's bat mitzvah. He shed tears of pure love and joy just looking at her, and the feeling was mutual. My mom has always been the most incredible, loving, and supportive wife, and especially for the past 10 months. She never left my dad's side, never spent a night away from him, even when he was in the hospital a few times for longer than a week, and helped him get around the house, even when it got extremely challenging. She cared for him in a way that most people could not, tirelessly and lovingly. My mom and dad's love for both each other and their children is a love that I strive for every day of my life. I feel beyond fortunate to have grown up in a home where I always felt supported and loved, and I am forever grateful. My dad always saw things as a glass half full, no matter the situation. Even in his hardest, sickest days, he always said he felt great and that he was going to get better. He put everything into being there with our family for Morgan's bat mitzvah, and everyone in the room felt that. He fought harder than I could have ever imagined a person fighting, staying strong for all of us, and never complaining, not once. I will forever miss your jokes, your birthday song, our Friday talks as you ran around town making way too many deliveries, eating so many wonderful meals with you being the best seasoner and griller, feeling your passion for food, and even your way late personality. Thank you, Dad, for being the best. I love you more than you will ever know, and already miss you more than I could ever fathom.
Robin, come and share your memories.
How lucky we are to have someone that makes saying goodbye so hard. Well, he was always way late. The world lost my Uncle Kenny way too soon. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Robin, and Kenny was my uncle, but more like a second father to me. Matter of fact, when I married my husband, Brian Goldstein, and was officially a Goldstein too, it seemed perfect because we shared the same last name. My Uncle Ten, Uncle Kenny, or Bunky, and my Aunt Gail never made me feel like I wasn't their own, and for that I am forever grateful. I figured the best way to describe my uncle was the way he always did it. So today, I'm going to give you the top 10 lessons that we all learned from Bunky. Number 10, give your loved ones, especially the kids, surprises. Doesn't matter the gift, the random gift at any point in time will drive their parents crazy and earn you a spot as Best Bunky. Walgreens has the best surprises, and keeping a stash in your closet is always smart. Number 9, when you forward an email with jokes in it, especially if they're nasty ones, make sure you aren't sending them to someone's work email, especially a generic email monitored by multiple people at your newly opened business. Number 8, compliments are free. Give them often. Say things like, "This Jell-O is out of this world," or "The meatballs are the absolute best," or "Juju, the kasha is the best you've ever made," or "The Halloween party was unbelievable." It's a constant reminder that you enjoy and appreciate them. Bunky was always quick to offer praise. My meatballs have officially been renamed Bunky's Balls. It's okay to play with your food, sugar packets and other things on the table, as long as you are going to do something clever with them. For example, Bunky would spell out a name. On Gail's birthday one year, he wrote in sugar packets, Gaily. He liked to make words out of the cream cheese on the table, condiments, whatever it was. Another food trick that I remember he taught Joni, Jason, and I when we were young was to go through every sugar packet and look for the word NAFTA, which was the food distributor that he was his. And if it didn't have it, it was maybe okay to use that when you played with your food. He was in sales, of course. Number 6, wearing your food on your polo shirt is a fashion statement, not a faux pas. So wear it with pride and know it's going to happen at every meal. Really, the food was just so unbelievable that he was saving it for later. Number 5, it's okay to be way late and do things your way, but at least have a reason, even if it's completely unbelievable. Trees and trains always make good ones. Bunky standard time was real. It's okay to cry, not only at sad times, but happy ones too. Birthdays, TV shows, singing someone's praises, all okay to shed a tear. See, despite him not being my real dad, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Number 3, come up with a clever pun for everything, as it can make anyone smile. Also, Bunky didn't misuse words or make up words. They were Bunkyisms. How I wish we could all have his quick wit and ability to come up with the one-liners like Bunky did. Number 2, work ethic. Love what you do, love your customers, your products, your orders, your process, and it won't feel like work. Even until the end, there was nothing Bunky wanted to do more than to make sure his customers were taken care of. The countless one-off deliveries were my uncle's greatest pride. There was no restaurant too far to drive to or shelf too distant to find whatever was needed to be sourced. Growing up, there were many, many nights where we would go on deliveries or we would go with him to the office, and Joni, Jason, and I would raid the supply closet and come up with all sorts of games at the plant. He even worked through the night in my hospital room, the night that my first child was born. And the number one lesson that we hopefully all learned from Bunky was family first. Tell the people you love how much you mean to them, and mean it every single day. There's no doubt in my mind that Bunky knew just how much we loved him, and he knew how much we all loved him. Matter of fact, while not everyone in here is family, to Bunky, there is not one person in this room who hopefully doesn't know how much you meant to Kenny and how much he cared for you, because he always made it clear, and he made everyone feel special and feel like family. Bunky, thank you for never making me feel like I wasn't your third child, and always treating me like I was your daughter, for taking me on so many family vacations to Los Angeles and Disney, for the countless meals on Wednesday nights in Austin or Monday nights with my children. Thank you for the hundreds of sports games, taking me to every nice restaurant in town, for always making reservations and making sure we were well cared for. Thank you for the birthday songs. Thank you for always making me laugh. Thank you for being the best Bunky to my children. And thank you for the countless bunker rides from the airport and always making sure we felt loved. You were one of a kind, and you will be missed more than there are words. I love you so very much, my Uncle Ten, Bunky, Lenny. You were the absolute best. From Ryan, Emma, Austin, and Little Ob.
And Bradley, I'd like to invite you to share your words, please.
Kenny, my awesome first cousin. The world has lost a special soul. I have lost a special cousin and a friend. But that will not prevent my special memories from living on. I'll never forget when Francine and I were in New York last March, the day you had your colonoscopy and got the news that there were lesions that needed to be biopsied. You and Gail called me immediately and leaned on me for support and thoughts. That moment will never leave my mind. As a physician of 40 years, I have watched you have unbelievable, incredible fight and will to beat this disease that was destined so tragically to take your life too early. But you never gave up. You always had an unbelievable attitude, and that is an inspiration for all of us to admire and live by. My best and special times with you have been surrounding sports, particularly the Astros and the Longhorns. We never failed to speak within minutes after every playoff game. I looked forward to hearing your voice on the phone, and we reveled in the successes of the Astros the last 7 years. I never got a chance to tell you this, Gail and Kenny, but I'm going to tell you now. When special fun moments happened with the Astros or Longhorns, I would call my dear daddy. He would answer the phone, quote, "I saw that, son," or "Can you believe that, son?" He knew it was me, and that was before caller ID. Well, guess what? Kenny, you replaced the role of my dad the last few years in the exact same way. We never answered the phone after a big win. Hello. We said, "Can you believe that? How awesome is that?" Or "Did you see that?" We just knew the call was coming. And I will miss those moments more than anything. You never failed to come up with a joke. Some of them were good, some of them were horrible. But you never failed every time to attempt to make me smile every time we met at a family event. I want Gail and your family to know that so often when we talked, you mentioned your love for family and always asked about my family. Your love and devotion to those around you was palpable and beyond special. You had such love for family that has departed before now. I can just see you leading the reunion on the other side, even now, with Bobby, Albert, Buddy and Carol, Bill and Irene, Sophie and Simon, Barry and Daniel. Kenny, the next time the Horns score a touchdown, the next time the Astros win a big game, the next time I cut a hunk of salami off, I will think of you with smile and love. May you rest in peace, and may you know that your extended family will never, ever, ever forget the special human you've been to all who have been lucky enough to be on the receiving end of your love. Bradley and Francine.
These words bring it all home. And now Judy, Kenny's sister, is going to share her words.
For those of you who know me, although you think it's impossible, I promise I'll be very brief. I could easily go on and on telling loving stories and anecdotes about my brother, and everybody would nod and agree with every sentimental tale. Instead, I choose to share the deep love and affection that we had for each other. In truth, I certainly won the lottery having Kenny as my brother. We immediately became more than siblings. We were, and always have been, best friends. Although that might seem unusual for most brothers and sisters, for us, it was easy and natural. We always had each other's backs with fierce loyalty and, most of all, affection. He always protected me until his very last breath, which I was humbled and honored to be there for. Thank you. We frequently exchanged I love yous, not just 3 casual words. Each I love you was true, sincere, and from deep in our hearts. I know for certain how deeply he loved me, and I am certain he knew how very much I loved him every single day. He left us way too soon. I will forever miss him. No more suffering, my sweetest brother. I hope your arms are around our Daniel. I love you, Kenny.
It's been an honor to be with this family, to guide them each step of the way, to appreciate as you have their love and affection for Kenny and for so many in this room. The family's words help us to address the profound loss we've experienced, but also the enormous gift that we knew in the life that Kenny lived and shared with all of us, and so many more who are live streaming. While we mourn his death, we also delight in his life. While we struggle to comprehend it, we also know well what we had and still hold. Kenny was the personification of concentrated justice, love, and humility. As the prophet Micah said, "Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God." And Kenny made each part of this ethical imperative a unique brand. He was intensely just about everything. He kept his word and he fulfilled his deeds. His dear mother, Sylvia, told me that he was the best son, the most fun, and always late. It goes hard against nature, Sylvia, to bury one's child. But we know how grateful you are for what you still hold in your heart. Thank you, Sylvia, for rearing a man of such goodness and such love. At home, he was intensely present for his family, as you well know, except, of course, when he was predictably late. And after he arrived, as you heard, blaming that tree or that train or that crash on the road, it was still his experience of outpouring love and joy that greeted him. A family celebration, holiday, or party was a reason to fill the backyard grill with more food than was required, but it meant that everyone went home with plenty more to enjoy. And that closet of joy for his grandchildren was great. And I think you put it perfectly, that Walgreens stuff, perhaps even the junk we might describe it as, was nevertheless the greatest treat and the greatest prize. His clients, many of you, were always in his sights. On any day and at any time, he served their needs, yours, and supplied you with what you needed. He went to great lengths to say yes and never no or later. Even after the delivery trucks were parked and their drivers went home, he knew where to find the keys, and he made the final delivery on short notice. Kenny gave new meaning to the imperative to love mercy. His heart beat with generosity, and his hands reached out in every direction, and as fast as his feet would move him to help. Once when he went into the grocery store and found a man seemingly searching for what he needed, Kenny asked him, "What food are you searching for?" The man told him what he wanted to make for dinner, but wasn't sure about how to go about it. Kenny took the time and walked him up and down each and every aisle to find exactly the quality of food that he needed, the seasonings to go with it, and the sides as well. Kenny was an angel in disguise, an anonymous person who appeared to make a difference for a man who probably never knew what hit him. Kenny never met a stranger. His interest in others was unique. He could approach anyone and find a way to connect. "That's a handsome outfit," he would begin. "And what brings you here today?" Or, "Isn't that delicious? And what else can I offer you?" It wasn't just his salesmanship. It was his natural need to be a person who made a difference through kindness and joy and real love. For Gail, Kenny was his first, his dearest friend, and later, her loving husband. Together they enjoyed and loved Jason and Joni and Doug and their grandchildren, Andrew and Morgan, Robin, Jonathan, and Daniel, who preceded him in death, were also so near and dear to him, welcoming them into his heart as their own. His dearest sister Judy, as you heard, and Alan were remarkably close and true to each other. Where life has been hardest, Kenny was your balm and your sunshine. Though he worked hard and came through the door late with multiple and fairly plausible excuses, his sincerity and love made up for all of it. When he needed to be at the kids' games or programs or anywhere else he was asked to be, he would often say, "I wouldn't miss it for the world." He might have missed part of it, like the first half of the Texans game, but no one could say he missed it entirely. And he was famous for his sayings such as, "Slim to none," and "Slim is out of town." It was really his way of sharing an unfortunate outcome with kindness and to make room for another option. He was never short of solutions and willingness to find them. His grandchildren, Andrew and Morgan, called him Bunky, as we know. They were the recipients of unconditional love. His playfulness was contagious. When they got in the car with him, he'd pretend even to be an airplane pilot and make announcements about the trip, the ETA, and the travel conditions. It was silly and unforgettable. With them at McDonald's, he ordered everything with Mick in its name. McNapkins, McStraws, some extra McKetchup. But to understand his humor and the root of his joyfulness, I was told a story that I must repeat. The family was in the car on their way out of a packed parking lot at NRG Stadium, and Kenny gave them all instructions on the count of 3 to turn and face the back of the car. Because on the count of 3 in a packed parking lot, inching its way out of the lot, he laid on the horn, and as they all looked back behind them to see who was doing that, the laughter could not be contained. And if you were in the parking lot that day, then yes, that was Kenny. A highlight for Kenny was the joy of watching his family grow, to take their places in school, on the field, and their professional choices, and also at the Bima at Beth Israel. He loved Beth Israel and the warmth and joy that he found here. This past October, he had that intense joy that we heard about, but is so important to remember. He made it possible for himself to see Morgan become a bat mitzvah. And I remember sitting in my chair on the beam and watching Morgan with one eye and watching Kenny with another. She was doing a superb job of leading us in prayer and chanting Torah, and Kenny was kvelling. He was overflowing with gratitude. He was on time, he was completely present, and he was secure in his faith that his family was blessed on that day and would be for sure in the future. For all that has been said about our dearest Kenny, he was a humble man. He had every reason to be haughty. He was an award-winning salesman. He had reasons to hold a grudge. He wasn't exempt from life's hurts. He had reasons to complain, but he didn't live a life with some aggravation. But Kenny accepted his circumstances. He acknowledged his choices, and then he decided to keep moving forward. The ethical imperative of his faith prompted him to respond that though God gives us prosperity and adversity, we are also commanded to choose life, and he did. Along the way, he formed new friendships, new business partners, and always new reasons to be grateful for what he had, for the people who joined him in his life, and for the sheer beauty of every day. To be with Kenny was pure and concentrated goodness, love, compassion, and humility, a mensch. 2 weeks ago, on one of my visits to see him, he was joyful for what the day might bring and what tomorrow might be. Then when his life's energy faded even more, he simply said, "Take care of Gail." Together, all of us won't fail him. Together we'll recall Kenny's encouraging words, the ways he made us laugh, and how to look up and see everything that's still possible. For Gail, for all his family, and his wide circle of friends here and elsewhere, we'll compensate the world for its loss with ways to honor Kenny's memory. Though his body was returned to the earth, as we're taught, from dust we come, to dust we shall return. His spirit abides among us as a source of love, mercy, and humility. that will forever inspire us to emulate his life with our own. Let's be good to others. Let's give love where it's needed and wanted. And let's be humble about our successes and optimistic about tomorrow. Then may our dearest Kenny rest in peace, knowing that he made an indelible impression on us and that his legacy has truly transformed those who were touched by his life. Zichrono livracha. May his memory be a blessing to us now and always. Amen. And as we collect our own thoughts and memories of our dearest Kenny, let's listen to a song of peace. Shalom Rav, familiar to so many of us, is the beginning and a source of our comfort.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol heit u'v'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
In a moment, we'll conclude with words of Kaddish, which we recited at the graveside, but which we'll also share with each of you. It's been said that Kaddish is not a prayer about death or sorrow or salvation. In fact, it's been taught that the simplest and clearest expression of faith is participation in the ritual of one's own religion. And it is this uncomplicated step that in the first instance makes faith solace more available to those who mourn. Faith doesn't minimize or trivialize our grief by pointing to the vastness of space and the insignificance of each of us. On the contrary, faith enables us to differentiate between being small yet meaningfully related to the divine. Faith enables us to live by maintaining our relationship to the dead, while it gently but firmly turns our eyes to the future. The Kaddish is one of the most important links between us and our beloved dead. And so rather, today it is an affirmation of the glory of God, and its recital is a reconciliation with that glory, because it is simply given utterance in the midst of our grief. in honor and in memory of our dear Kenny Goldstein, we rise now and join in reciting the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'galah v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'alam alomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Vidadar vitale vitalal shmer gurisha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who causes peace to reign in the high heavens cause peace to reign on this family, on this circle of friends, and on this larger community. Amen. Our service is concluded tonight at Sabbath services at 6:30 p.m. here at Beth Israel in the sanctuary. We'll memorialize the name of our beloved once more and recite Kaddish. Now I ask you to remain in your places for just a moment so that Rabbi Scott, Cantor 5 and I may lead the family from the sanctuary into Wolf Tumim Hall for a meal of condolence, a time to express our sympathy to them and to each other, and to continue our mitzvah, our obligation to lift up the story and the memories of our dear Kenny.